Good evening. Welcome to the latest Lance Burkitt encounter. Today we're going to talk about all things weather. I was thinking earlier about how crap the weather's been this summer, and I know many of you will have had lots of ideas as to what you're going to do photography-wise over the summer, which might have been curtailed due to the tragic, highly manipulated even weather that we have here in the UK. So it got me thinking about the times over the years when I've planned to do a photo shoot and had to make do with grey skies instead of blue, or cloudy skies instead of clear, and how I've kind of worked round over the years and made that kind of work for me. Instead of saying, oh bollocks to this, I'm not doing it today, I don't know, go read a book instead. I've stuck with it and come back with something more than what I anticipated I would when I first set out. So using it to your advantage is what we're going to look at today. Occasionally when you go out, you don't quite know what weather you're going to get. So you're off out, you're doing a shoot. You might just be walking around doing street photography, and before you know it, it's snowing. Or, as happened to me once in Liverpool, went down to the docks and expected it to be nice and bright and clean, and it was actually thick fog. But from that thick fog came really mysterious and funky buildings and the water, and it kind of made the shoot for me, and I wasn't expecting it, so that was a pleasant surprise. So a lot of photographers I've spoken to over the years who always like looking for bright sun. Oh, I'm going to go out and do a shoot, the sun's out, I'm going to do some fashion, and often they get out there and realise there's too much sun and they're not taking a diffuser with them. I did a little video clip on this on YouTube last week about taking a diffuser with you just to stand between the person and the sun, because the sun is more often than not a photographer's enemy, not friend. So I'll look at a few examples when I might have done that over the years, but really I'm going to be looking at using the crap weather for my advantage. I mean, there's some sunsets in here as well. We'll talk a little bit about Franken skies, our tragic skies, which are heavily manipulated, cloud seeded, amongst other nefarious things that go on up there. And I'll talk about how we can, use those to our advantage. They make me feel a little bit like the windmills do, the rather tragic, big, awful windmills that block the landscape. That I hate them. I hate what they stand for. But they're fascinating to photograph. So, hey ho. So we'll look at that. We'll look at clouds. We'll look at using it to get exciting pictures. I realised I'd forgotten rather all the influences that have pinched on me over the years, particularly Stieglitz. When I was photographing the skies quite heavily between 2016 2022. In fact, no, sorry, 2016 2020, because in 2020, from when was it, March, when we all got illegally locked down, planes stopped going overhead and the skies went back to be plain boring blue mostly. So all those kind of skyscapes I had been photographing for the previous years were kind of gone, and I think there's a lot to be said about the reality of what that was. They're pretty much back now though. You can guarantee you'll see a plane go over, and within a couple of hours your sky's gone grey or cloudy or patchy. So we'll look at a bit of that, and I'll show you some final pictures, and I'll show you some edit processes as well. Try and get this back on track as a photography blog. Oh, sorry, photography podcast rather than a blog. Blogging's when you're right, isn't it? I looked at loads of pictures today. Got a massive hard drive with about 50 gazillion terabytes on it, and just went through it from 2006 up to about 2022, I think. Just picking some of my favourite pictures and some of the ones that linked into the weather. And some that didn't quite as well, but I do remember photographing this guy on screen now. I'm going to call him Matt. I can't remember what his name was. He was part of a group that I photographed 2000 and, oh my god, I'm going to say 2010. Oh, thank God. April 2010. He was part of a a group of people I photographed for a some kind of magazine shoot, and it was a throwback to the 80s, hence why he's dressed in the 1980s kind of attire. But it was a standard, typical kind of like April day, kind of nothing, no sun, but no rain, just kind of probably actually good light. You can tell actually on this JPEG, decent light around, quite flattering, not too harsh. There was no modifiers involved, but it's proof that when you're photographing outside and you don't need drama and you want it to just look like a normal run-of-the-mill 1980s day, that a cloudy sky can kind of work in your favour. And I didn't have any real preconceived ideas at in doing this shoot. I just knew I was going to do it outside around the studio I was using at the time, Pumpkin Studios, and I knew that it was like, it's like part of an old mill, and you can see that from the picture. I didn't really think about the weather. I was just thinking, hope it's dry, because I got 4 or 5 models outside with outfits that had been borrowed from one of the stylists that was involved. Didn't want all getting wet and ruined. But it's more fun when you're not getting piss wet through. So I started off doing this shoot, and we're going for kind of like a early 80s look, you know, kind of specials kind of look, madness specials. We didn't go full skinhead, although one of the models in something else that I did around that time we did full skinhead, but this just as bog standard guy in the street. And this was around about the time when the Tories got voted in, and so I turned some of these kind of into a bit of a statement about the Tories. I might have to do that again and stick Labour in there. Anyway, so on this occasion the weather was kind of okay, it worked for me, but I wasn't expecting one thing or the other, but it was just nice, enough light, didn't have to use any ridiculous kind of settings from memory, he says. I'm not going to guess what the settings were. I'll wind up looking a fool. I'm going to have a look on Photoshop now to see what the file info tells me, if it's even still on here. Yeah, 1/125th of a sec, f6.3, ISO 400, and yeah, I had to use an EOS Rebel XT because my camera, the shutter had gone on my camera the night before. At that point I had one camera, my main camera, and the shutter had blown the night before, so I borrowed a Rebel XT off my brother, I think, and it was alright. It held up. It held up alright. I think I had to do quite a bit of sharpening, if I remember rightly, because the images were a bit soft. This might have been cropped a little bit originally. Dimensions 203 pixels, 2300 pixels by 3456. Oh, that's interesting. But it's potentially been cropped, but 32 inch by 48 inch at 72 dpi. I mean, that's not amazing, is it? If we do a 18 by 12 at 300, yeah, that's pretty decent, but I bet it's quite soft when we look. Yeah, it's pretty soft. So, little tip for you guys that are using low-end equipment, those of you that don't have the L series lenses or the pro lenses. A little tip when you're in Photoshop, particularly if you're photographing people, you can give them a nice sharpen. We don't have to go on to what's it called? This bugger down here that I use for laughs. That one, Topaz. Makes me laugh, Topaz. I see the advert on Facebook all the time for it, and there's a guy on there. He said, "I don't even have a camera, and Topaz does great stuff for me." I just find that hilariously funny. It's brilliant. So if you've got a JPEG that's a bit soft, I'm going to do this. I'm going to overcook this just to show you a little process I use. And just make sure I'm recording. Yes. If we make a mask, because what we don't want to do is I don't want to sharpen the guy's whole face. Let me just show you an example. If I Control and J, come on, don't call me a liar. Photoshop's going to seize up now. I feel this coming. Come on, conk out. You know you're going to conk out. Fucking piece of shit. Alright, when you're recording, you've got to Control Alt Delete just to get Photoshop to play ball. Alright. Photoshop, see there. I knew it was going to go. We killed it. Let's get it back open. Adobe. I think I've got a bit of a quirk on my machine. It's a pretty new machine, and I think this version of Photoshop's got a gremlin in it, because it keeps doing that now and again. Having said that, I've got my power mode set to quiet because the fans interfere with the audio, so it might just be that it's overworked. Let's see if we can get this guy called Matt back up here, even if he's not even called Matt. So I was going to show you how to sharpen it. So if you view it 100%, we can see how kind of soft it is. So if we Control J keyboards, make another layer, and just whack loads of unsharp mask on it without using something called a mask, you'll see, if I switch that on and off, you can see the break in his face and everything. Goes a bit ridiculous. Sharp, but it's over sharp. So what we do instead is we make a mask, and we do that by clicking on the red channel, dragging that down to new, and making a new channel, right? And then we're going to Control and I on the keyboard to invert it. This is going to be our mask. Now, we're only going to apply the mask to where there's white. So, eyes will be sharpened, top lip, bit round nose, round the edge of the ear. Not worried about his clothes so much. But what I'm also going to do to make sure anything that's black doesn't get sharpened, I'm going to pinch this by adding some levels. So if we go up to image adjustment levels, and drag loads of levels up like that. See? Like that. Now, anything that's black won't get sharpened once we've loaded in the layer. Alright, so Control, hover your mouse over the red copy layer. You'll see it goes square. Click in it. You'll see now on screen it's loaded in that mask. Yeah? I'm just going to click on RGB so we can see the picture again. Now, because we can see the marching ants, we can't really see any detail. So I'm just going to go to Window, View even, and turn off Extras. See that? Now the load is still there. The mask is still loaded in, but you can't see it. And then I'm going to go and stick some filter on it. So we're going to go Filter, Sharpen, Unsharp Mask. Let's drag this down to where his boat race is. There. And we can get a preview. Let's go 500%. Oh, alright then. Can we see that? Just see his eyes going a little sharper. And his face a little bit. 500 is probably a bit too much. Let's go 300. Come on, give me another 0. There we go. Turn the preview on and off. Alright. Click OK. And now, unlike before when it added all that sharpening to everything, it's only sharpened things that were white in the mask. And if we switch that on and off, it's only very subtle. But you can see how it's just sharpened up his pork pies. A little bit like that. So, if you're using low-end kit like I was that day, it's a little trick just to sharpen things up a bit, make it look a bit more polished. It will help ease the frustration of not being able to afford the L series lenses or the big lenses or whatever else it were that you didn't use, because you either couldn't afford it or, like mine was that day, it was broken. Man, that's horrible, isn't it? So that's just that one. The weather was alright that day. Crappy gear, bit of a sharpen, and you can use that in any kind of instance. When I edit some more shortly, I'll show that process again and we'll do it again. So yeah, I mean, you're making the most of what's with you. I photographed Sarah and Kirsty, these twins, Sarah and Kirsty. They've been models for a long time. They do lots of kind of like grid girl work, if you're even allowed to do that now. A great pair of ladies. But again, it was probably January time, I think this was, and crap outside. So we went outside and did some really rough, scruffy looking locations with their nice outfits. At this point in time, ASOS or ASOS were doing lots of urban kind of shots, so they were not looking for posh locations and all pretty and beautiful. They were just saying, bung your models and some shitty background and do it. So on this day, although I was hoping for a nice clean day, there was a drop of snow and frost, and you can see, so it kind of added to the grimness of what we were doing. And again, we didn't go out there for long. We probably only shot there for about 20 minutes, because you can see they had no gloves on and they were freezing, and I was freezing because I'm a bit of a wimp like that. I don't have the raw file for this, so I'm just doing an auto cheeky edit on the JPEG to just bring out a bit more detail while I'm talking to you. And so we made the use of it, you know, because that's what ASOS were looking for at that time. That kind of, you know, lost in a jungle, crappy background kind of look. And it worked for that. And we did a whole series of them walking towards camera, and there was a bit of a yard there with some tarmac and concrete. We did a little bit of that as well. Here's one here, look. And you can see, I mean, cone straight away. But again, it's a little soft because they were walking towards me. And I was shaking like the proverbial shitting dog. And this is an edit straight off the camera. This is a JPEG straight off the camera. I'm not edited this at all. This is just a pretty basic shot. I was just seeing how that looked with some levels. But again, from the ASOS catalogue of throw them on a shitty background, that'll do. Don't edit backgrounds too much, make them look a bit rough and ready. Outfitting the person's what's selling it. So it was a great set with these two, and they're great models, and I worked with them a couple of times over the years. Always good fun, always plenty of ideas. They must be doing something right because they're always working, which is great. And they also have their own beauty salon, Ikisla Beauty. So give them a follow and a shout if you like. They're great. Sarah and Kirsty, that is. So yeah, just another day of not knowing what to expect weather-wise. I knew it was going to be cold, but thought it might be cold and blue. But when we went outside, because we've been in the studio 2 or 3 hours at this point, we went outside and it was light snow and grim. So we made the most of it. And again, that shot, just straight shoot, no reflectors, no flash, no anything, just straight to me. 7D, f3580, f3.5, sorry, f5.6, ISO 640, 1/200th of a second. It's not bad, all things considered. Yeah, it's a bit crap when you look up close, but again, if you wanted to sharpen it, you could really sharpen that up. But what is it now? 14-year-old photo, 15-year-old photo, not that fussed. It's a nice one for the archive. But again, making use of the weather, taking the weather with me, making sure I got something from the shoot as opposed to nothing. And again, you can see this set in front of me here. There's Fab Liz here, and this was in a apartment in Manchester that I had the use of for a few weeks. I did some commercial work for them and got use of the apartment as a thank you. Miserable and bleak outside, but use of a nice flash inside just to warm everything up a bit. And you know, that's the same place about a week apart, and you can see there, grim bit of snow, frost. About a week later, beautiful January sunshine. It might have even been December, but beautiful sunshine. So we've got the yoga stuff going on. Same place though. And again, just using the weather that we had to make the shots we wanted to make. So lifestyle shot. It's not the best one. I think it's probably actually just a setup shot. That fake telly, that always made me laugh. The fake telly didn't weigh anything. It weighed about as much as a flea. It was just like plastic, nothing in it. Quite funny. But again, just use of the space and use of what's there behind you, and making the most of the weather you've got. I mean, obviously I had some bounce light inside, I had some small flash heads, but the majority of light there flooding in is natural light, and again, memory's not what it used to be, so I'm dependent on file info a lot of the time. Again, the 7D 1/250th ISO 100. Little bit of flash infill, but again, just making the most of what's there, and you can kind of do that instinctively, I think, sometimes. I mean, it was warm in there because the heating was on, and we had a warm lighting, or the Bowens lights we're using were quite warm, so it was easy enough to warm the shot up and make it look cold outside. But again, if you take the flash off, that could become quite a bleak shot. If you take the fill light off, it becomes a bit bleak. It needed a little bit of something inside, and I don't have the originals. I couldn't find the originals on these edits, but they were quite flat from memory. I mean, I always contrast things up anyway, but they were quite flat, and just pinching the levels and bringing out that kind of like shadow detail kind of helps a lot. So, but again, I think if these shots here have got bright blue sunshine behind them, they're a different concept, same as this one here. This one of Elizabeth, this looks like a nice kind of like wintry morning. She's having a bit of brekkie before she goes off to work or see the kids or whatever it is. Bleak cityscape in the background, low sun, kind of works. So it wouldn't have worked on a beautiful sunny day. Different shot, different time. These are just a sum. This was a tricky one. This was a fab lady called Kaylee from Merseyside. We were just in North Wales at a place called Talacra Beach, and we just came across this log, so we just let's do this. And I think the fact that we can see the beach behind her and the blue sky, it kind of works nice with that little bit of cloud. I think it looks a bit rough and ready, a bit like not too staged, not too beautiful, not too perfect. And again, I might have been waiting for a blue sky, but it never came, so I just went with the cloud and what we've got. And because the cloud's over to this side and she's leaning that way and her hair's going that way, it kind of all looks a bit cloudy that way. So I quite like that. And again, just made the weather work for me. The same day we had, it was quite bleak actually that day. It was June, but it was like June, grey, blue, so but it worked all right in the end. The next one here, this was an ad hoc shot. We're doing a studio set with Amy, and it was boiling in the studio, and I said, well, should we have a look outside, see what the weather's like? But the studio at the time was on an industrial estate. I couldn't very well go outside into the yard, so it had the studio had a skylight in it. So we walked up onto the roof and did a few shots up there, and it was a kind of, again, a combination of a blue and grey sky, as you can see there. But we just made it work. We just pointed upwards, and I think it works out quite nice. And you can see from how she's squinting that I didn't use a diffuser. We literally just ran up onto the top and used some natural light, and we had fun for about 20 minutes. And I think we came in because Amy was on fire. It was a bit warm, but you can see there just working with what we had. And I guess the clouds make it look British, don't they? The clouds allow you to know that perhaps you're on a rooftop in Britain as opposed to on a veranda. It's somewhere in Spain or somewhere even more exotic. F11, that one, 200th of a sec, again on 7D. Nice shot, nice set. Again, the studio shots I don't think I've got here. They're I'll put the studio shot of the same outfit on the edit so you can see it. So let's just pretend we're looking at it now. The studio shot is just nice, great. Same bikini, same model, same outfit. Looks great, but then you just put it outside and it's a different concept altogether. But again, didn't really plan it, didn't know what the weather was going to do. Just got lucky, and the next few pictures in the series that I dug out are just using different bits of outdoors to take standard shots. Sarah Amelia, out doing a jog. We did some studio stuff and it was a bit boring, so we just whacked out onto the road across from this studio I had at the time, and it was lovely and sunny, but it kind of worked, didn't work. We didn't really like them that much. I think it's because there was a road, there wasn't enough foliage, it didn't look like a woodland enough. but again the sun was out, so we gave it a go. So you can see, I've done lots of, this is just like a minute kind of amount of stuff, but done loads of people shoots, and the weather's kind of stumped me, and I figured out and got around it. These later ones I did in Salford Keys with this lovely young lady. Again, the sun was out, the sun was in, the sun was out, the sun was in. It was that was the original there, and you can see the difference between that and the black and white edit. All the basics are there, you just have to put in what you really want and what you see in the edit, and that set worked out quite nice actually. Daniela, she's called, the lady, I forgot her name there momentarily, sorry, Daniela. And again, same model, same day, weather's changed, let's work with it. She brought a brolly, forward thinking. Quite like the mono edit, to be honest. I don't have the mono edit there, but the CR2 file, you can see I always underexpose because I like to bring that back. Don't overexpose and bring that back, we always lose stuff. But let's have a look at the raw file. Yeah, so you got lots you can play with, lots we can do there. Beautiful shot already. Only moved a few things around. Yes, I've whacked sliders around, and I know I don't advocate for that. Let's do it properly, lads. Shadows 80%, off, minus 1% exposure. Lovely. That's good to export and edit straight away. Ping. A little bit of levels. Yeah. Let's see where this goes. Pinching a little here now. Not worried about that. Beautiful. 2-minute edit. So again, working with the weather, the brolly. The outfit wasn't really matched for the weather, but the brolly was, and flipping between that and that, which was probably, I don't know, 20 minutes, 30 minutes before, with that awful background. We kind of knew the rain was coming, but we worked with it, and that's what we got. So yeah, so working with Daniela, which I've done a few times now, is great, and just moving between weather types. That's a lovely shot. I just love everything about that. Very versatile model, adapted to the weather. We'd arranged to go to Salford Keys near Manchester because it was convenient for us both to get there, but we wanted to do some location stuff, and it's got kind of everything there: shops, streets, footpaths, like flat type buildings, bridges, interesting stuff. Not too many people about, so it kind of had everything there. The weather forecast said miserable, and it pretty much was miserable, but within that, we even got, I bet it's not on it, it's the wrong year, might have it in my portfolio, if not I'll dig it out and stick it on anyway, but within the same period of time, same day, we got even more sun. Do I have one here? You can see on this one here, it's from the same set, same day. Sun's changed a little bit, background's changed a little bit, but the lighting is beautiful throughout. There it was quite moody, got a bit of the old Titanic going on there, but just working on what we've got, and I quite like that moody. In fact, I like the black and white version of that, and again these black and whites because of the sun and that juxtaposition of nice sun, warm sun, cold sun, blue sky, grey sky, kind of made the set look like we probably had 5 different days. I think that's a different set. I'll dig out the one I'm talking about later and I shall show it you now, but very blue, very bluey, and quite a high fashion. So yeah, so just making the most of that weather when we kind of knew it was going to be dog shit, but it didn't matter because it kind of worked. Semi kind of planned it to be that way, semi planned it to work, and it did work. So I was talking before about making the manipulated weather work for me. God, when I was thinking about this earlier, I was singing that bloody Crowded House song, Always Take the Weather With You, and now it's spinning around the back of my head all the time. Take the fucking weather with you. So, manipulated weather. I haven't done so much of this since the weather stopped being manipulated quite so much in 2020 till about 2021 too. But it's still there, I still see it. Some big examples down there. But I took these on a Hasselblad medium format camera. When did I take these? No, not in 2005. You see it says 2005 there. No, I didn't reset the clock and stuff on it, did I? I took these about January 23, February 23, something like that. And came across this big steaming pile of shit right by the side of the road as I was mooching around doing stuff. And I photographed some shit in my time. But these things are biscuit. It reminded me of that scene on Jurassic Park with Jeff Goldblum. That was one great big pile of shit, or whatever he says. So the raw file of the Hasselblad is a lovely thing. You can see there, that's how the raw file was. And clearly, if I open it up, you can clearly see, let me just close Daniela down there. You can clearly see I've done some manipulation, or rather, editing. Love the format. But even so, it's all the ingredients. All the ingredients are there for the picture. Wow, that's a bad turn of phrase, that one, Lance. You didn't think about that really. The ingredients there for the picture, so you can see all the highlights are already here. Shadows already here. Everything's already there. I've just used some tricks that I know to bring them out. So no dodging or burning or any of that stuff. No. No dodgy or burning. In the raw stage, I will have brought out the deets, and then I'll have used the RGB. I'll show you. So if you click on Control on your keypad, you see the little highlight on the finger. Click on RGB, it loads in the luminosity. And what that allows you to do when you use curves, by the way, must be set to pigment ink, not light. See that? It comes pre-packaged to light. Change it to pigment ink. That allows you to click in the center. He says, never hit the center. And just adjust the output. Now you see, it's only shifted the highlights and touched the shadows. Yeah, that's because of the luminosity that I loaded in using the control and clicking RGB to put a mask in. So that's the highlights. I want to do the shadows. All I do is make a copy. So Control J, Control I inverts it, and then allows the mask to only affect the shadows. So if we go that way, it only affects the shadows. So if I turn that on and off, you can see a massive contrast change. Yes. Yes, Lance. Yes. And you can do that as much as you want. And if you think, oh God, the sky's come out a bit there, just click in there in your little mask. Be on your keyboard for paintbrush tool. Make sure your edges are soft on your tool. Here, turn all the hardness off. Get the tool as big as you want. Put the opacity to about 50% so it doesn't whap loads off when you're brushing. And just brush the sky back in, like that. So you then got that. And then, top of my head, it's 18 months since I did this. Probably did that a couple of times to get the drama. Oh, goddamn knows, don't know what I did there. And eventually, you come to that. And then did my standard black and white conversion, which again is just solid colour off the layers. Change that to colour, bang, black and white, with some curves manipulation in there. But that's pretty much it. I mean, it took me a little longer than that. I've brushed a bit more, come around that a little bit more, but and then cropped it to get that steaming pile of shit. But again, I'm always looking for pretty pictures, always. But we live in Yorkshire, and it's always crap, and the weather is heavily manipulated all the time. So the chances of you getting nice skies regular skies, predictable skies, is slim. So you make do with what you've got. And more often than not, we have skies like that. So I spent a couple of hours that day. The thumbnails for the raw files off the Hasselblad are just piss funny. They're so small, even Hubble telescope couldn't find them. And you can see, kind of follow that same theme for the rest of the day. Moody, cloudy, shadows on the ground. Looking for shadows, looking for highlights, looking for traction, looking for where the pictures are following. Look at that. Off we go, round there, whap, off to the left. Hate those things. Just highly horrible things. Looks no better on its own, does it? Nice and centered. Got this kind of cutaway here, little spy hole. Again, kind of works because the sky, I think, looks a bit electric around it. It's got a bit of a Tesla electricity going on around it in the background there. It's centered and you can kind of see the focus down here. So I like the shot. I don't like the subject much. That's the thumbnail again. Stop laughing at the back. Again, the drama on the road, quite kind of sensible here in the foreground, and suddenly bang, wet patches, big heavy highlights, leads you up that road. And again, if you look at it compositionally, these highlights in the sky are kind of pointing down to the grimness of the natural beauty of the tree and the god awful man-made fiberglass steel oil bearing, money sucking, non-energy generating, lefty loony windmill fucking piece of shit that should be consigned to history there. And again, they work better in black and white. Again, this one, I could see the highlight on the trees on the little hedgerow. It kind of matched up the little bit on the bottom of the stump. A little bit of a heavy cloud coming through it. Sorry, bright cloud coming through here. I kind of like the kind of randomness of it and how it punches down onto that tree. So when I saw this at first, it made me think of two boxing gloves coming out of the sky like that, one either side. That might be creative, artistic wanking, but that's how it felt, with the focus being on that there. And I didn't make the light. Nature made the light. I just happened to see it. But again, when you see, let's look at the raw file for that one. Little diddy raw file. Little diddy raw, diddy raw. Is that even the right file, Lance? No, is it? Is it? It is. When you look at it, the original, it's a bit meh. But when you crop it in like that, you can now see that highlight there that I was talking about before. And cropping is what it's all about. Cropping is the name of the game. If this thing ever opens, it'd be a minor miracle. I think I just clicked done, didn't I? So let's just do that again, Lance. Come on, use your brains. Brains. Here we go. Right, don't just click done this time, Lance. Click open. Open sesame. So you can see the raw file, as good as the raw files are off the Hasselblad. It's very flat. It's as flat as a flat thing. And I won't have done much more than that. In fact, let's go back to the raw file. Come on, lads, get with it. If you're going to teach, do it properly. Sorry. Shadows are up. Highlights are off. That's better. Yeah, like that. Yeah, let's make it auto. That much better. That's more like it, Lancy boy. You see the difference now? Yeah, the colour balance was way off on all the Hasselblad shots. It's because it was a film camera with a digital back, and they didn't really calibrate them that well, did they? So, there's a little bit of contrast here. 5% shadows, 174 added on there. See that? Bang, 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 and now you can start to see those clouds I was talking about. I still think they look like two great fists coming like that with the head in between. Left fist, right fist, head. See that? Coming towards us like that. Yeah. I know, you want some of what I'm on. So, and then I cropped it. I mean, I'm not going to try and hazard a guess as to what I cropped it, but something like that probably. Did I send to that? Let's see how close I can get this. I don't claim to be a genius. Ooh, fit screen. Fit screen. Hacking miles off. So it just shows, doesn't it? 18 months between looking at a picture. See what you did. But anyway. And then what I will have done is add more drama in again. Loading the luminosity. Adding some drama. Like so. And doing a bit of brushy brush. He says be like so. And you can see already much drama. But I'm doing this quick to show you, and just to show you the kind of trouble I go to. But again, you can see between that finished one and that one how I did manipulate much more. But you can see the highlights there, the highlight on the stump there, and there. The boxing gloves are still there. I know, whacking loads on. This is all out of whack. I would never put that on, just so you can see, look. And then, yeah. Now we're talking, Lancy boy. Yeah. So you get the idea. And because I edit stuff straight after the shoot, as close as I can to the shoot, so I can remember what I saw. That representation is what I saw, what I felt. Now, when I say what I saw, I don't think I see in contrast. I don't see things really contrasting. I'm looking around the room now and things are nicely lit and they're not very black or very white, but my interpretation of them is contrasty. So when I edit photographs, they come out contrasty because I'm looking to hide and show. And that's what I've done in this picture here. So that was my mood on that day around that time. Quick edit here, nothing like it, although it is pretty similar here. It's beginning to get there. But thinking the mood you were in and what you felt you saw 18 months ago is different to today. That's why quite often when you edit pictures further down the line, you do a different edit, even though you're using the same skill, same style, same type of thing. They don't always look like what they look like when you did them first, because the time in between's detached you from how you felt when you made the picture. But you can see how when you get people saying that I'm a purist, my images are brilliant straight off the camera. Yeah, they are, aren't they, mate? This is a quite expensive Hasselblad with a quite expensive digital back. Yeah, that's ready to roll, that picture, isn't it? Colour or black and white, it's ready to roll. Don't fool yourself, and don't listen to the fools who tell you they don't edit, because they are fools and they should be edited. So yeah, whether you're shooting long exposures or whatever, this one here I'm going to show you now, it's called Moving Clouds, and from memory I think Orion's belt is visible in there somewhere. Maybe you just see a dot there. It's in there somewhere because part of the rest of the series you can see it better. Those light dots are stars, whatever stars are. And I'm going to say 15-second exposure. Shall we see? Shall we have a look? File info. Canon EOS 5D Mark III. 24. Oh, 38 seconds. I was wrong. It's twice as long as I thought. So, on this occasion, I was looking at the sky, as you do. Excuse me. And there wasn't enough drama. So that was the standard drama, where you can see Orion's belt there above the house. Right there. Now this one will have been a much shorter edit because you can see the clouds only moving a bit. Shorter edit, shorter exposure. Clouds are only moving a bit, the stars have only moved a bit. So what we've got here, 4 seconds. So 4 seconds versus 30. But I wanted some drama. And that wasn't giving me enough drama. at all. Even though there's quite a lot of like heavy cloud going on, it's interspersed with that. It's all right. Apart from that tree always got on my fucking nerves. It was always in the way. And do you know something? It belongs to my neighbour, nice kid neighbour, but that tree was there and it was always in my way. And now I don't do this so much anymore. It's chopped the fucking thing down, which is just typical, isn't it? But anyway, tree's no longer there. But I probably did edit it out on a few. In fact, let's just have a little bit of fun. I did edit it out on a few pictures, I think. It used to get on my fucking tits. Let's do a quick content aware. Content aware, Phil. Go on then, Phil. Come on, Phil. Show us what you can do. Go on, son. Go on. Rubbish. Yeah, be alright. Be alright for the amateurs, won't it? All the AI guys will love that. Oh, look at that. He's chopped it out. You can't even tell. Anyway. So I wanted that kind of like swoosh, that like, it looks to me like somebody's got a big spotlight behind the houses and it's like firing it over to me. And I love that. I love that picture. It's one of my favourite pictures. And I had a conversation with my master's degree supervisor, Hugh Hamilton. I've spoken about him before. Great guy. Great photographer, great teacher. And about why all of my skyscapes, everything I shot of the sky, always has some landscape in it. Tops of houses, trees, always had some landscape in it. And always the landscape was underexposed, like chronically underexposed, like these houses are. And I was just doing it through, like, it was like a natural thing for me to do. I just enjoyed doing it, so that's how I did it. And he said, "What are you hiding?" And I thought, "Huh, that's a bit deep, Hugh, bit deep." But I've thought about it ever since. All of my skyscapes, except one or two little things, are grounded in horizon. There's always an horizon. And it kind of freaked me out a bit when he said, "What are you hiding?" I didn't think I was hiding anything. But again, you can see here, lots of sky. Oh, I hate fucking Windows when it does that. Fucking automatically changing exposure in your viewer. Fuck off, you fucking interfering Bill Gatesy bastard. You can see on this, even though this is a raw file, that I've grounded it. Lots of sky, lots going on, but grounded in shadow. And it's a theme that runs across most, if not all, of my skyscapes and landscapes. This one here, of a little field near a town called Ully, near where I live in Rotherham. Although some people might argue that it's not Ully. Sorry, it is Ully. It's not Rotherham, it's Sheffield. But in my book, it's Rotherham. Strange I was just slagging Bill Gates and Windows off, because that just looks like the old Windows welcome screen, doesn't it? But again, it had drama. Thought that was a raw file, but it ain't, is it? That ain't no raw file. But you can see the difference. That's probably the JPEG that was shot alongside the raw file. But I don't like me. I've slightly overexposed that. But you can see, look, ping, ping. That's what I saw when I started. I was actually on my motorbike that day. I was riding around my bike and I stopped. So it got the rucksack out, got the camera out. I had to kind of like wedge myself on a bit of a dip, and I could see the wind was blowing the grass. And so I set my exposure to be semi-long to capture it. Probably only, I don't know, 60th of a second or something. 1/40th of a second. To make sure I could see that movement. And that's what I loved about it. That's how I felt when I was there. Just like that. That's kind of what I saw. But again, out there for a ride on the bike. Nice day. It was very warm. I was sweating like a 20-year-old transit van on an MOT ramp, and it wasn't fun, but the kind of like clouds were gathering, and I just thought, and when you get clouds gathering in the sky, where else are they going to gather? They cast shadows often on the field, so you can see the shadows are kind of on the field are cast by the clouds, and of quite like that. So the Windows saver screen was an happen chance one. I just happened to see it as I was riding around on my motorbike. Probably not very wise looking around at fields and stuff while you're on your motorbike, but there's a little pinchy back lane. Nobody knew what was there. So this one here, again, pointing straight up the sky this time, although you'll notice still, even though I'm pointing directly up with the fisheye lens, I've still grounded it. We still have some shadow. We still have some what the hell's going on here. It's just the way I roll. We don't want to do that lens. People don't want to see that. It's just the way I roll. It's just the way I ground things. I think the sky is lovely, but it needs to be attached to something. And, well, what happened there? So look at this raw file. Oh, it's a bit nasty, isn't it? My God. What was this, the 5D? Oh, it's the 7D, that's why. Noise is all hell. Noisy as the hell. But 10mm lens, f2.8. It's bloody horrible, isn't it? I have no idea how I edited this. None at all. Let me just see. So, I don't like I pinched a great deal, other than probably whacking a load of noise reduction. But again, this shot's never seen the light of day from memory. I don't think it has anyway. It's just a bit of me messing around with some kit in the back garden. But hey ho. But you can see, look. Yeah, I didn't do too much to this one, did I? But the sky's there, grounded. That is actually me there, by the way. Yeah, that's me mooching around while I was waiting for the goddamn thing to do. But again, making the sky work for me. I mean, normally, if you shoot the stars, you ask any astrophotographer, a cloud is their enemy. But me being the creative soul I am, and not really being an astrophotographer, because as much as I love the stars and I like to wonder, I like to see what they are, I like to learn all that. Ooh, it's got time to sit out all night taking pictures of stars going ding, 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 ding. Oh, the Milky Way. I mean, some of it's fantastic, but I mean, it's like it's the same as photographing, doing e-commerce stuff. First one's fun. Second one, yeah. By the time you've done 10, you just want to shoot yourself in the head, don't you? So, as interested as I am as shooting the skies and the stars, I want a bit of something in there. I want some interest in there. For me, the cloud works. And even sometimes when you're coming home from the pub and you're a bit worse for wear, and you look up at the sky and you see some chemtrails going past overhead, and you think, oh, I'll go and whip the camera out and take a picture of that. And your wife's going, what are you doing? You're drunk. And you say, yeah, but there's a shot to be had. And I could have sworn I chucked it in here. Have I gone past it? I think I am past it. I don't know if I've gone past it. No, that's not it. That's not it. That's not it. No. Come on, lads. You can do it. Ah, there it is. And then I remember taking the shot like it was yesterday. And it was a few years ago. But, yeah, I just come home from the pub and noticed that a plane had gone over and left a big dirty chemtrail, that there's probably more disease, CO2 and bullshit in that one contrail there, chemtrail, than your car's pumped out its whole existence. But hey ho. But again, I saw it, photographed it, got the moon, stars. If it hadn't been for that big dirty chemtrail there, I wouldn't have took that shot. So the fact that the weather manipulation plays part in what I shoot is quite apt, really. I've got lots of other bits and bobs in here of stuff. I'll cover the Liverpool stuff next. Let me just get around to that. Let's go back to the Liverpool stuff. That's a fucking JPEG. I wanted a raw file. Anyway, we'll have a look at that one now. So yeah, just wanted to look at Liverpool because although it's our second home, as some of you may already know, because it's in the north of England, quite often the weather's shit. So this particular day, we knew it was going to be shit, but I didn't think it'd be exciting shit. And by exciting shit, I mean, how often do you get a chance to see a view like that and take a photograph of it. There's my lovely wife Kirsty taking her own picture of the fog on the Mersey, just hanging out. And I thought, what a great shot. And the thing I had, kind of the trouble I had here was, she wouldn't quite ever stand in the centre there. And while I was, like shifting about and trying to gesture to her, I thought, you're doing that whole thing that you've always done, Lance. You're going to lose the moment here. So I just took the shot and thought, fuck it. And then, so what I did is I anchored the lamp in the kind of the bit of the rule of thirds bit, and just got the centre in terms, rule of thirds, the horizontal centre there, and went for it. And that's what I got. And I've always loved that shot, and didn't need much manipulation. I think from memory there might have been a couple of sensor blemishes on it around the time I was using a 5DS, and swapped the lens out a couple of times, and it had some god awful dust spots on it. But you can see if I'd have gone for a normal edit look, you can see Kirsty just standing there looking at the camera. You see all the danger signs. There's a bloke here that I cropped out, obviously. But it's not much of a shot. So, but doing a creative edit like that just makes it much more interesting. Again, I've got a sky where I've grounded everything in a foreground horizon in shadow, which is apparently something I do. And the black and white version of it, I think I probably prefer. Again, if you weren't following that, solid colour, change to colour, loaded in my luminosity using curves to add contrast, and just 20% there, Control J to copy, Control and I to invert, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Love the black and white. Pretty simple. Don't think I did much more than that to the edit, but I think you'll agree that's a nice picture. Oh, I know what I did do. Took a few of the shiny bits off, look, because they're a bit distracting. All the love arts and locks. Yes, we have got our own love art and lock just down there to the left somewhere. Put that on when we got married in February 2016. Great. So yeah, just happened upon that day that the Mersey was full of fog, and this kind of like sums up to me how using weather to get it on your side, using weather for you is just magic, because I photographed the Mersey a million times and quite often it's just bland sand, brown water, semi-blue or grey sky, but to this day it just had, I don't know, look at it almost looks like a drawing, doesn't it? Almost looks like some kind of ink drawing or pencil drawing. And again, there wasn't that much manipulation from memory, although now we'll open the raw file up and it'll call me a liar. You ready? Lance is a liar. Oh, there you go. So that's the raw file, no edit yet. So if we auto, look at the colour, and that's awful. Did I go for cloudy? Daylight. Shade. So normally I would drop the highlights off, bring up the shadows a little bit, get a bit of shadow detail back, drop the overall exposure a little bit, and then add some levels to boost things up. I don't know what I do with the white balance there. Shows you, it's that memory thing again. 2017, 18, these are done. And again, going back to that mood, what you saw, what you felt, memory. So from an exposure point of view, that's not a million miles off, is it? But clearly I didn't do that with the white balance. It might have been, it's unusual for me not to just do it at the raw stage, but it might have been that I took some off. Let's just go back to that shot. Yeah, it's just that shot. Didn't do anything to it. So get rid of that. That's awful. Again, we're just pinching. 2, 3, 4, 5. Sometimes I'll add 5% in this. Sometimes I'll go right up to the start of the hill, I call it there, just where the detail is. You can see we've just added some drama. Look at the highlights swim out a bit more. Shadows become a bit more pronounced. Yeah, it's just a slight bit more manipulation on that one than that one. But again, lovely shot, all made by that day. The cloud cover, slight wind causing those ripples, the tide being out a little bit, and just where the sun was here. Let's have a look what time of day it was. Hopefully I'll set the thing right on this. 200th of a sec, f18, so it must have been bright. Must have actually been bright. 8th at first, 20 past 1 in the afternoon, so the sun is quite low in the sky in the winter. But western sun there, southwestern, yeah. But again, it's one of those things where we knew it was going to be miserable, but didn't necessarily know it was going to be that miserable that it was going to be interesting, so I just ran with it. And normally if it's like that, I wouldn't take many pictures at all. I'd probably take more pictures of things like bags of crisps that fall on the floor, or shoes and gloves and things like that. I like to take pictures of as I walk around. But the weather that day worked really well for me, and I really enjoyed that. I mean, probably took about 30 photographs. Another day, this one was in Cornwall, when we went with the kids, 2016, St Michael's Mount. Again, just grounding it all in an horizon, as you can see. And I've got the original next to it. Is that a raw file? My God, Lance has brought another raw file to the party. Nice copper. Could have brought loads of detail out in this one, as you can see, but the mood of the edit didn't call for it. Yeah, I've just brought up the highlights a bit. Oops, didn't mean to do the curves. Get rid of that. We wanted levels. So, very underexposed picture, but when you know what you're doing. So in this case, to brush out the highlights, I'm going to click in the mask and just use my feathered brush to brush them back in. And then what I probably did was curves and made some adjustments with highlights, contrast. But again, nothing massive. All comes down to mood. Slight colour balance change on that one as well, which I didn't do in this edit. But again, you can see when I'm shooting from underexposure, not overexposure. I mean, that one without the levels, it's way underexposed, but just enough detail to bring it back to make it exciting, add some drama. Pretty much how I saw it, and not a lot of editing gone on. Just the basics, just the process I always follow. And clearly relying on the mood as to what I've seen. This one here I like. This one was kind of a bit of a snapshot on my Sony mirrorless, my little 6400 that I always keep in my pocket. And again, the sky's the drama, isn't it? Is that the raw file? Yeah. Can't beat a black and white edit when there's drama. But point and shoot, lose the highlights, bring some shadow detail back so we see the building. Might just lose a little bit on there. Try from memory, was it really blue? Colour of the building looks about right. I don't think it's red like that. That's going to go with that for now. Who gives a shit? We're only talking. And again, love the reflections in the windows on the left there. But without that, if it's just a if it's just a I've done the crop as well, didn't do that full frame crop when I did it originally. I've not added much drama because it's already there, but again, when you stand and look at this, it looks like, if we full screen it looks like the sky is pushing down. It feels like it's coming towards you, and I like that. I really like that almost claustrophobic feel, and the highlights on these white bits of the building is beautiful. And again, all made possible because of how the clouds were in the sky that day. These reflections here, you couldn't paint them in. They look great, just because there was that cotton cloud above the building. The more I look at it, the more claustrophobic it feels, which is great. And not much of an edit, because it's all pretty much there. Just a little bit more drama with a love the RGB luminosity and curves. Probably did a little bit of paintbrush just to bring the drama to home. Like that. Ooh, wrong brush. Shows you done it. Click in there. There you go. Now we're talking. I'm going to do this quick because I'm guessing. But something like that. Just to add the drama in. Yeah, that's more like it, isn't it? A little bit more in here still. But yeah, so just the tools, the time, the place, the feeling gets you what you saw on the day. But like, you know, the moral of this story is taking the weather with you, using what you've got, using the weather, whether it's pissing with rain and you wanted sun. Skate park in Liverpool that we came across looked so good because it was so goddamn rank that day. That's an unedited picture. That's one of the edits of it. Again, it's the bleakness, the weather. If that was dry, it wouldn't be half as dramatic. It's a puddle, the reflection, the gleam from the water. We were hoping for a sunny day, didn't get one. Again, these shots here that I took just near us, just threw the camera on the ground, not literally, put it on the ground, took some shots. See the big dirt spots there. Which camera was this? This might have been the 5D. But again, just getting there. I mean, these are just raw shots, but using what's there. Bleak weather, not great sky, boring actually, and just working with what's there rather than saying, oh fuck it, it's not right today. I mean, this one here, some people might say it would work better if the sky behind it was completely blue, like, you know, neutral blue. Not for me. Kind of works because the branches are a bit scatty and the sky's a bit scatty with it. Same with these pegs in the garden. I mean, I think about pegs. Ever since I did my master's degree, which I ended up shooting loads of pegs on the washing line, they just look great. There's just something about them. They've got their own personality. In fact, there was one point where I had names for them all. And you know, you normally only peg washing out in the summer, but this bleak winter's day with the low sun makes it look quite warm, and the pegs are actually quite warm there. When you warm them up in Photoshop, you see the original pretty cold bleak day, but you work with it. The kind of, hey, how Windows does that. Can you turn it off? Somebody tell me how you turn that off. Snow on the roofs just lets you know that it's winter. And again, raw file, come on, load up, and then edit just to warm it up. And again, you can tell it's winter, but you go with it. I mean, if it was summer, the pegs would not be on their own. The pegs would be having a relationship with the garment, wouldn't they? There's just some pictures of the moon I've took as well, because I love taking pictures of the moon. Just with a bit of, funny that I've grounded it again in darkness, haven't I? Interesting. And that was of the eclipse from 2022, was it? Still on the top of a college in Leeds, at Quarryhill Flats, Quarryhill College. Took that again. It was normally in eclipse you want a clear blue sky, wouldn't you? But it was not on that day, so we got what we got, and that's what I got. That's the original, as always, slightly underexposed, but it allows you to bring some drama in. Quite like that version. That's more like the natural colour, I think, from memory. But again, you work what you've got. It wasn't a beautiful sky, couldn't get a clear shot, got a good enough shot. In fact, to be fair, the cloud helped a little bit in terms of exposure and interest. So again, it comes down to not worrying about the weather and just making do with what you've got. And I think you might agree, if we look at all the pictures I've just talked through there, been through quite a lot, that the weather is what makes it. Again, grounded in darkness, but the little shape of light coming out of there, if that cloud wasn't there, it's just another picture of the sun in it. Or is that the moon? What do we reckon? We're taking bets, sun or moon. File info, 8,000th of a second, f8, that's the sun, isn't it? 1553. Yep. So, but again, that cloud cover, I've got another one similar to that up over a house, which is quite interesting. Similar shot, which again, it's been pierced by a chemtrail, plane trail going through it, which is quite interesting. But again, if it's just a blue sky, it's just a pig sun in the sky, which is boring. This one here has intrigued me. The Z for Zorro. Those of you that are my age will remember Zorro. No manipulation here apart from some contrast adder. That's just how the sun was in the sky with the clouds. And again, I've grounded it in shadow, because by now we know that's what I do, because I'm hiding something. But it kind of works, doesn't it? You see it, you stop, you take it. That was another happen chance. I was out in the back garden just taking pictures because I seen the sky coming all moody. Suddenly I see that and I think, wow, we're having some of that. We brighten it up, you can see the rest of it, look, up here, but it's hidden in the edit to make that nice Z. And when you consider nature doesn't build in straight lines, it's quite interesting. So that's it for today. As promised, we did get back to a bit of photography. Not a great deal of photography taken, but talking about, using what you've got in photography and taking what might be not the right weather for what you were thinking and turning it into exactly the right weather for what you wanted, because you come out with the pictures you didn't expect. I love taking pictures of back garden, washing line, skies, rooftops. They're a lot more interesting than milk bottles and things on a table. And I think it shows, if you work with what you've got, you can still get something, even if it's not what you first had in mind. And if, like me, you're kind of looking for drama, that one, for example, it's on the screen now. It's a nice picture, but it works because of that goddamn cloud in the middle of that L-shaped cloud. L. I didn't make it, it just appeared. But those little scattered clouds and that make it. Without that, it's alright, it's a nice picture, but it's that sky that you're drawn to. It's almost like the windmills are drilling it round into that centre. So take my advice, use the weather for your advantage. Don't cry if it's raining, go and shoot anyway. Don't cry if it's snowing, go and shoot anyway. I mean, we're on 20th of August 2024. Summer's done, summer's gone. We've had a few warm days. Most of it's been rainy, crap, overcast, cold. In fact, there's been some days in July and August, me and my wife sat on the settee with a blanket on. And much of that, I believe, is down to the weather manipulation that goes on. So if they're going to throw weather manipulation at us, let us use it to our photographic advantage. While they're killing us, let's use it to take good pictures. And, kind of enjoy getting the unexpected, because if every shoot you went to do went exactly as you planned, it'd be pretty boring pretty damn quick, wouldn't it? If every time you photographed the sky it was blue, it'd be boring. If every time you went to photograph the sea and it was like a mill pond, it would be boring. If every time you photographed the sun and it went down without any cloud base, it'd be boring. If every time you photographed the pegs on the back garden that weren't backlit by the sun, it would be boring. So use the weather, exploit it, knock it about a bit, try stuff, experiment, do what you don't expect to do, go a bit crazy. Sometimes when you're shooting it, it feels a bit shit. Sometimes you think, my God, this is going to be shit. But quite often when you get home, remember how you felt when you took it and get into the edit, you'll bring out what you saw. And you'll see all those little patterns appear. You'll see all those nice little Easter eggs appear. And other people, particularly people who are really into photography, will see that and they'll engage in it and they'll like your work and they'll comment. So that's it for today. I have no idea what the next episode will be. It'll be something photography based, or maybe conspiracy based, or maybe reality based. I don't know, but it'll be some shit sometime soon. I hope you've enjoyed that drivel. If you'd be so kind as to give the old pages and the old YouTube a like and a subscription, that'd be very much welcome. Tell your mates you've found a bloke who talks a lot of shit about photography and send them to have a listen. Other than that, have a great time, evening, week, day, month, year, and I'll catch you soon, folks.